Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Louisiana Cultural Economy Foundation Economic Opportunity Fund Business Application webinar. I hope that this webinar gives you a very good overview of our grant process and answers a lot of questions you have about how the process works, what kinds of things we fund, and actually how to fill out the application. Of course, at any time, if you have specific questions about what you're applying for or any technical problems in filling out the application, please always feel free to call our office at 504-895-2800, or you can email me, lisa@culturaleconomy.org. My name is Lisa Piccone. I'm the Economic Opportunity Fund Director, and I will be presenting the information this afternoon. I also have Dorian Rush, who's also in our New Orleans office, who will be fielding questions when you type your questions in the questions box. Dorian's also available in the office to answer any of your questions about the grant process as we go along. What I'd like to do first before we get started is point out a few things on the culturaleconomy.org homepage, which you should all be seeing on your screens right now. First of all, for any artists that we have with us or any artists you may know, LCEF is hosting a cultural license plate design contest. I'm just going to click on this post real quick. We have actually extended the deadline to August 30th. If you yourself or anyone you know has any artistic skills and they're at least 21 years old and a Louisiana resident, please encourage them to enter this exciting contest to possibly have their art featured on the next Louisiana license plate. We had a bill passed earlier this year to have this specialty license plate for Louisiana Cultural Economy Foundation that will focus on Louisiana culture, and a portion of the proceeds will go to our operating expense. So we're very excited for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to getting submissions from all over the state and choosing the best one to represent culture on our license plates. I wanted to make sure everyone knew about that. The next thing is, I don't know if you've heard about our creative funding tour. I'm actually having the nonprofit session tomorrow. Businesses are actually eligible, but we're really trying to get the word out to nonprofits that all nonprofits are eligible for BP settlement funding if they meet a certain revenue test that has been defined by the settlement. This doesn't really say any information about it. This was just one of our tours in Hammond. We're having a webinar on Friday at 2 o'clock that explains more information about that. If you have questions and want to register for that, please let me know. Also, our annual fundraiser, La Fête Louisiane, presented by Barrios, Kingsdorf, and Castex, will be November 2nd in New Orleans on Magazine Street. So I want to hopefully get it on your calendars and let everyone know about that. I always like to point out this useful section on our website. This tab right here that says resources, I encourage you to check it often. We post everything we hear about that could possibly be a resource to an artist or cultural worker. Call to artists, contests, disaster resources, job opportunities, all these types of things that we hear about, we try to post and be a resource for you for different things going on around the state. So one in particular I'd like you to see is that we do have a tab called Funding and Grants. So when our grant rounds aren't available, or if our grant doesn't meet the needs that you're looking for in terms of funding, you can always look at this and see if there's anything under here that would meet what you're trying to do. Also, if you're not already signed up, please, here where it says stay informed of news and updates and other opportunities, click subscribe to Cultural Connections. That's our monthly digital newsletter, and it's going to have information about our grant deadlines, the license plate contest, the fundraiser, anything going on with new programs from LCEF. And then we also post the new resources in the newsletter too, so it's really good information. Okay, now I'm going to take you to the section of the website that talks about the EOF grant, which is this tab right here. If you've not thoroughly read through the guidelines, I'm going to give you an overview right now, but I encourage you to read through the guidelines even after this. It just gives you a really good understanding of what we fund. So I just clicked on the guidelines tab. The deadline, if you haven't heard, we have extended the deadline for the grant application. The new deadline, I'll get my little highlighter out, is Friday. That makes it not really readable. I don't like it. The deadline for the grant round is Friday, September 13th at 5 o'clock p.m. So put that date on your calendar. That's when the applications are due, and it is an online application process, so that is a hard deadline. Literally, the system will not accept applications after 5 p.m. So I encourage you to actually make an effort to click submit a couple of days ahead of time, because inevitably people wait till the last minute and then have computer glitches and things, and it is set up in the system so that I cannot manually override it. If you do not submit it by 5 o'clock, you know, I've had people call me at 5:01, 5:02 saying, can't you do anything to help me? No, I can't. So if you call me on Thursday at 5 o'clock and say you're having a problem, then I can help you. So I just encourage you to do what you can to get it submitted ahead of time if you're planning to apply. I don't see any questions so far, so I'm going to continue going through the guidelines. So the purpose of the EOF grant, I don't know if, I see a lot of new names on the attendee list, so you may not have applied with us before. The thing about our grant program that's different is that we fund opportunities for you to earn a new stream of revenue. So you'll see here that grants are made for a specific opportunity to increase income or earned revenue. So what does that mean? The opportunity has to be specific and unique. So by unique, what we mean is something that's not exactly what you're already doing, something that's a little different. So it's really hard sometimes, especially for businesses and nonprofits, because we don't fund general operating support for your business. We don't fund regular programming for nonprofits. We fund something that is a unique idea. Maybe it's similar to what you're doing. Maybe it's, you know, there's a range of us funding things that are pretty similar to what you're doing or very different from what you're doing, yet related to what you're doing. But as long as it's going to create a new stream of revenue, a stream of revenue that is not the way you're currently earning money, then it's going to be eligible for the program. And as you see, when we get to the application part of the discussion, I like people to focus on, many times people will call and ask, well, what do you fund? Will you fund a website? Will you fund a brochure? Will you fund a piece of equipment? Instead of focusing on what we fund, it's better if you focus on the end result. So what would you like to accomplish in order to earn more income? And then what do you need to accomplish it? Pretty much we'll fund anything within the guidelines of what do you need to accomplish that goal, as long as it's going to get you to that goal. So instead of looking on the exact items we fund, I like to focus kind of on the big picture. We'll talk about that more in a minute, because I know it's kind of vague and confusing in a way. Okay, so who's eligible? Individual cultural economy workers, they must be active in their field, and we require a resume. They must be a legal resident of Louisiana, at least 21 years old. Nonprofit organizations must be operating in Louisiana and show evidence of their nonprofit status. They can apply through a fiscal agent. Today is the business webinar, so I'm assuming that most of you are applying as cultural economy businesses, and you must provide a valid tax identification number, be located in Louisiana, and there is an opportunity for collaborative applications. If you have an idea that would require you to collaborate either with another business or an individual, let me know, because in constructing those applications, I would want it to be very clear who was the lead in the collaborative and who is going to benefit and how they were going to benefit. So I can help you construct an application like that if that applies to you. Okay, who is not eligible to apply? If you're not based in Louisiana, we don't fund students, churches or religious organizations, or government entities. That's who's not eligible. If you're a past LCEF grant recipient, you are eligible for this grant round as long as you're current with your reporting. So if you received a grant in the past and you were required to fill out a final report, as long as we have your final report, you're eligible now. If you have a question about that, you can give us a call. So these are the kinds of things that we support. And in line with what I was talking about earlier, do we fund travel, materials and supplies, professional fees, equipment, marketing expenses? Yes, we fund all of these things. However, the more important thing is, why do you need to travel, and how is it going to result in a long-term income stream? If it's professional fees and you're hiring a consultant, how are they going to grow your business so that you're producing a new revenue stream? So the important language here is that anything that you're applying for funding for is related to an opportunity that will create long-term income or revenue stream. So that means that, like I said before, by focusing on the end goal of what you're trying to do, where do you see your business expansion possibilities? And maybe it's a new product development. Maybe it's expanding into another market, like you sell retail and you want to expand to wholesale. Maybe it's a piece of equipment that allows you to expand your offerings and not have to outsource a certain amount of business. Any of these things would be eligible. You just have to sell us on why you think it's unique for you and how it's going to earn you a new stream of revenue over the long term. I'm kind of going to be repeating that a lot throughout the course of the presentation. And once we get to discussing some of your specific questions, maybe it'll become more clear what that means to you. There are certain things we will not support. So kind of the list of things that we will support is longer than the list of things we will not support, because we'll support anything that relates to your opportunity. However, we do not support, as I said earlier, normal recurring expenses involved in your business or company. Anything that's part of your normal operations. General marketing for your business that you've been doing for years, that is not covered. Salaries, inventory, like shelving that you need to display things, lighting, things like that. Computers is a very hard sell, especially for a business, that you can prove that a computer purchase is necessary for a new stream of revenue. So it's probably not going to be eligible. We don't cover the applicant's own artistic fees, meaning especially like with writers, if you need time to research something, we won't pay you to do that. We're not going to pay a visual artist to paint a painting. So your artistic fees have to be covered by you. We'll supply the hard costs that you need to get the opportunity completed. We don't fund anything involved in real estate or construction or renovation of any type. I haven't actually mentioned this in the presentation yet, but the maximum grant is $2,500. So obviously that's not even going to be enough if you're looking at needing a real estate purchase or a large equipment purchase or something like that. Sponsorships and fundraising events, which comes up a lot. Any one-time event or festival, annual event. These things come up a lot with nonprofits, and it's not something we fund. We fund things that are ongoing sources of revenue. So potentially every day of the year you have the potential to earn income from whatever this opportunity is. That's what we fund. teaching opportunities as a main source of income. We've often funded artists or even businesses maybe that have the opportunity to start teaching classes out of your shop, or an artist that's a freelancer to start teaching classes, and that's an eligible expense. But if you're a teacher already, then and it's your main source of income, then we're probably not going to fund a teaching opportunity for you. And then business startups is not something we fund. So sometimes there's gray areas in some of these, and I need to kind of discuss it out with people to find out where they fit in. And that's why we're here, to give you as much personal service as you need by phone or email. Helpful hints for writing a successful grant application. You should refer back to this, I think, as you're working on your application to make sure you're kind of on the right path with how you're answering your questions. Identify the opportunity clearly and precisely. You see the first set of bullets is kind of on this page, the suggestions for how to construct the applications. Then if you see the second set of bullets, it's the criteria that the reviewers use to rate the applications. So clarity and specificity of the proposal. Is it well thought out, detailed, and articulate? Get that third party to look at it, and that third party can be me, to see, have you explained everything clearly about what you're trying to do, and have you answered all the relevant questions? Very many times we get applications, and you'll see when we go through the application there is a character count, and people are intimidated by this, and they think they only need to put like 1 or 2 sentences per question to explain their opportunity. And I can't think of any instance where 1 or 2 sentences in an answer was enough information to completely describe what they were trying to do. So then that application just gets thrown out because it's too vague and there's not enough information to even make a decision. So make sure you're explaining yourself well and that all questions are answered. This is something that is very helpful. I offer the opportunity for you to email me and let me read a draft of your application, and that's where that's really helpful, because I can look at it with that eye and say, well, had you thought about this? Or sometimes I'll ask a question and they'll say, oh, I thought that was obvious based on what I wrote. Well, that's, with getting a third eye on it, very helpful in picking out those little nitpicky things that you didn't think about. So justifying what makes the opportunity unique. I'm going to talk a little bit about this more when we get into the application. Why is it unique for you? How is it different from what you normally do? And most importantly, I think you need to convey exactly how it's going to increase your income and how it will continue to earn income for you over the long term. Now, the application kind of walks you through all these questions so that you're not going to leave any of this out, the way the application is constructed. But this just gives you an idea of the things we're looking for. So go back and look at that when you have a chance before you get into the application, so you can keep all of those things in mind. The required attachments are going to also be on the application, but you can come to this section to find out more about it. For businesses, it's an annual profit and loss statement and some photos or samples of your work. And this can be samples of your current work, or if you have samples or even drawings or prototypes or renderings or anything to do with the new line of work you're proposing, that would be helpful too. So we can talk about more about that when we get into looking at the application. I talked about the range of grant amounts. Currently, unfortunately, the maximum is only $2,500 across the board. I have here that collaborative applications will be considered for up to $5,000. That's not guaranteed at all. Could be more, could be less, could be $2,500. So it just depends on if you have a relevant collaborative application that is worthy and how much impact it will have, and how much funds we have available as to what the level of funding would be there. But like I said, if you have a collaborative application, I'd like to offer some assistance with that, so just let me know. I'm not going to spend too much time on examples of funded activities because I think we've already pretty much talked about that. And you can read through kind of the end of the grant guidelines when it comes to grant payment and reporting and how it works if you actually get the grant. We talked a little bit about the selection criteria. What I'm going to show you right now is under this EOF grant tab, and I know I'm going real fast and my screen isn't loading fast enough for you to see, but you're not missing anything, and it's all here on the website for you to go back to. Under the EOF grant tab, you'll see EOF cycle/timeline, and this is going to give you an idea of the timeline of how everything's going to play out. And cross our fingers we can stick to this schedule. Because last year they had a little tropical storm or something that got in the way, so hopefully that's not going to be a problem this year. But we have extended the deadline. I don't know if you've seen in previous emails or literature online that it was August 30th. Well, we've extended it now to September 13th, so hopefully that'll give you a little more time to research your opportunities and put your applications together. I talked about that draft review opportunity. That deadline is August 30th now. So what you can do is when you construct the application, and we're getting ready to go into it so I can show you how to do this, you can save all the information into the application and then I can log in and look at it for you. Or you can construct the answers of the application in a Microsoft Word document. And if you want to do that ahead of time, under EOF Grant, in this drop down right here, you'll see this listing called Downloads. So where it says sample business EOF applications, sample individual, sample nonprofit. And also, if you don't want to take the time to scroll through the whole website like I just did, you can download the guidelines and print them out. Here's even interim and final report instructions so you can see what you're getting yourself into. But you can click on the business EOF application or whichever one is applicable to you, and you can print it out so that you can see it before you go into the system, if that's helpful. Some people like that. Some people like to just go straight to the online. So I'm going to go back to the cycle timeline and look back at that schedule. If all goes well, the deadline for the applications to be submitted is September 13th at 5 o'clock. I've already talked about the importance of that deadline and the 5 o'clock time. And then we have kind of loosely structured that the committee will review, the board will approve, and the grant recipients will be announced by December 2nd. We definitely want to get the grants paid out by December 15th. So that'll just give you an idea of timing. Okay, I'm going to go back to the home page now. I'm clicking on home. So a lot of people are confused about actually how to access the applications. I don't see any hands raised, and I don't see any questions yet, so that's good. We'll have time, as I said earlier, to ask questions at the end of the presentation. Just going to click on this post that says EOF Online Applications and Webinars. You see here in the middle of the screen where it says Applications, this is where you click to log in. There's Business, Nonprofit, and Individual. Today I'm going to click on the Business application. I'm going to log in with my email address. Now, if you've never filled out an application with LCEF before, you're going to want to click here to do your login. So that'll ask you for your email and password. Please use an email that you check all the time, because email is the way we will communicate regarding if we have any questions about the application or if we want to notify you that you've received a grant. So make sure that it's a good email for you that you check all the time, and not like an intern or some special thing you set up. Okay, then the password. If you have filled out a grant before, you can use the same email address and password that you've used in the past. If you can't remember your password, you can get in touch with us and we can help you with that. And it's better to go ahead and find out what that password is and stick with your normal account than to set up a new account. It kind of creates a nightmare in here in this system. So I've set up with a nonprofit, individual, and business account, which is also something you can do. And if you need help with that, I can help you. But I'm going to select my business account and click Continue. This is going to take you to your welcome screen. Now, when you scroll down here, I'm actually going to go into another, I'm going to get out of here and go into another application that I've kind of pre-filled out. But if you've already applied before, you'll see the application that you applied with previously, and you'll see this action, continue. So you'll click here to continue an application. This is also how you get into an application that you saved and come back to. You know, you don't have to complete it all in one setting. You'll see that you can click, you know, save and continue, and then you can close it out and come back here to continue it later. If you are starting it for the first time fresh, then you click the here, start a new application, and it'll take you through the process to start it. So don't be confused about what I'm about to do, but I'm selecting another thing because I put like little help questions in here for you. Okay, so you're going to, this will show your name and contact information. You're going to click Save and Proceed. I want to show you that at the top of the screen, there are these boxes here, welcome page, contact information, business information. If you've gone into the application and you've completed everything and then you needed to go back and do some more research to construct a budget, you can go straight to this here, click budget, and here we are on the budget page, and you can finish it before you submit it. So you can do the save and proceed button at the bottom, but if it's easier, and I know this, I'm trying to be conscious of not moving too fast so you can see where I'm going on the page. You can scroll through the different sections of the application at the top bar. So I was just in contact information. I can either click Save and Proceed, or I could have clicked business information here to get to this. So I'm going to scroll down this. These first few pages are pretty self-explanatory. This is where you enter your collaborator. If you have a collaborative application like we talked about, that would be a special circumstance. If not, you leave it blank. Here's all just your contact name and your mailing address and your tax ID and your website, your artistic discipline. I've tried to create as complete a list as I could think of, but if there's, you know, there's major categories and subcategories, just put what you think is closest to what you do. Description of business. This is an important question. Whether you're applying as a business or an individual, I'd like to know, what is it you normally do? So give me a description of your business, what you normally sell, what the purpose of your business is. If you're an individual artist, what kind of art you create. If you're an individual artist that has a business, describe that type of art. Because this is going to tell me what you normally do, and then when we get to the unique opportunity, I'll know how that's different and how it's going to expand on what you're already doing. So this answer to this question is very important. Then we have like numbers of employees and things. So all that's very self-explanatory. I'm going to click Save and Proceed to get to the next page. This is demographic information. So all, you know, answer, if you're filling this out as a business, please answer these questions as they relate to the business owner. And I assume you, the business owner, would be the one filling this out. Now, just so you know, we don't use any of this information at all in making our decision on who gets funded. This is information that our funders request from us in saying, you know, who are your applicants, what age range are they, and gender, etc., or who are your grantees, and then we have some information to pull from. So we appreciate you sharing that information with us, and it is not used in any way in deciding who gets funded. Now this section about your opportunity, this is what I call the meat of the application. So this is the important part. As we talked about earlier, and I encourage you to really read all of these little instructions here that we have next to each question, because that's going to help guide you with what we're looking for, okay? So at the top here, I'm just going to point this out. When I spoke about the option to create your answers in Microsoft Word first, if you're a person that finds that easier to do than typing in these little boxes. Now we'll show you this. If you click this little bottom right corner of the question box in the application, you can actually expand it so that if you have a long answer, you can see the entire answer. But again, if it's easier for you to type it in Microsoft Word first, and then you want to copy and paste it into the application, that is an option. But if you're on PC, you have to copy and paste it to Notepad first, or WordPad, Dorian says. If you're on a Mac, you have to do it in TextEdit, because there are because there's a character limit on this application. There are certain hidden characters that happen in Microsoft Word. And by transferring it to Notepad or TextEdit first, it removes those hidden characters so that it's pure to go into the application question, and you can maximize your character limit. And yes, the characters, letters, symbols, numbers, punctuation, spaces, everything counts as a character. So spaces do count. I think you can, if you're in Microsoft Word, you can do the character count with spaces, and that'll tell you where you are in terms of the number of characters. And like I said earlier, some people say 2,000 characters is all they have, and so they want to write the shortest answer possible so they don't go over. I say the opposite. I say give me as much information as you can without being repetitive. Still be concise, but make sure it's explained fully. Okay, so I'm past that about the Microsoft Word. We're available if you have any questions about that. So, opportunity title. Choose a title that describes the opportunity and indicates the main element for which you're applying for grant dollars. My advice is to think of the end result, like I said earlier. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? Expand your business into the wholesale end, or I need a piece of equipment to open up rental and teaching opportunities. So what is the end result of what you're trying to do? And that should be a good title for you. The summary of opportunity is also a very important, well, they're all very important questions. This description here says it's a brief description of the opportunity that will earn income for you. It should be concise but thorough enough that a reviewer can read it and get a complete snapshot of your proposal. I changed this, the name of this question from description to summary because people weren't giving me a complete snapshot. I want, if a reviewer reads nothing else on your application but they read this paragraph or whatever we want to call it, this 2,000 characters, they can get a full idea of what you're trying to do, why you're trying to do it, and what you need to get it done. So I want this to be a concise but detailed summary of what you're going to do. We're going to get more specific later. Location of opportunity isn't actually that important. It can be where you're located. If you have to travel, you can go ahead and put that. What makes this opportunity unique? Now here's where this comes into play in the earlier section where I said describe your business. So now you're going to tell me, I've already described my business for you. Now I'm going to tell you why this, what I want to do now, is going to be different from what I already do. What about is unique? How is it unique to you? Sometimes things are just completely innovative and nobody else is doing it, and that's great. Sometimes things aren't necessarily that unique. It's not that unique for you to buy a printing press and be able to print things to sell and rent it out and teach classes with it, but it's unique to you because you've never done it before, and it's a great way for you to earn extra income. So sometimes things aren't that unique in general, but they're unique to you, and that's okay. You just have to talk about how is it different from what you're currently doing in business now. Next, You're going to talk about how you're going to earn income from it. Exactly how. So if it's this example I just threw out about a printing press, so I'm going to print things and sell them. I'm going to charge people to rent it. I'm going to teach classes and charge money for the classes using the equipment. Also, I want to know how much you're going to charge. Here, I'm going to show you how this question right here is on a scroll. And if I expand it in this right corner, you can see the whole thing. So in this question, let us know how this is exactly going to translate into direct sales. What kind of connections do you have? Sometimes connections can make or break an application. So maybe it's not that unique of an opportunity, but you have some connection that's literally going to propel you to success. That's happened in the past. So it makes it a unique opportunity for you because of a connection you've established at a trade show, at a conference, just networking with friends. Who knows? And something comes up that's going to be an amazing opportunity for you. So that's important to put here. What is the demand? A lot of times people will say, well, I want to create this new product, or, you know, I've come up with this new idea, but how do we know that people are going to want it, and how do we know that people are going to pay for it? So if there's any examples of, well, I started doing this and then it made people start requesting more of it, or it made people request, why don't you do it this way instead? So sometimes business ideas come out of, you know, what the demand is from your customers. So anything you can show us in terms of what is the demand for the product. Maybe you've seen something done in another city that was extremely successful, and so you want to try to replicate it here. There's many different ways you can establish what the demand might be. So just keep that in mind. I guess, you know, kind of what does the market say they'll pay for whatever it is you're selling. Another important thing is how much do you have to sell to break even? So, you know, if you're requesting a $10,000 piece of equipment and you're going to sell 50 things at $1 each and make $50 off of it, it's not going to be a good investment because it's not going to have much impact. So, I mean, that's an extreme example, but a lot of times people will not think about that when they're, oh my goodness, did you see that pop up? Something crazy just popped up on my computer. I apologize. I don't know what that means. Sorry about that. So, you know, think about that. It is a business plan in a sense. So we want to make sure that what you're proposing is going to be a viable business, and that what we can do here is provide you seed money to get it started, and that you can produce a return on investment from it. So that's what we want to see there. What are the long-term financial benefits? So somebody asked yesterday on the webinar, you know, what does long-term mean? Like, how long is long-term? And I said, it's forever. You know, how can this contribute to your income on an everyday basis over the long term? So, you know, it's difficult for us to fund things like CDs for musicians because it's a one-time thing. You're going to sell those 100 CDs, and then what are you going to do? I don't know. Maybe you can prove to me that it's going to jumpstart something else. So maybe it will be something that's viable. But we want something that's going to be a very long-term opportunity for you. How do you keep it going over the long term? How do you get people to come back? How do you continue to expand into new markets? Sometimes people will send in an application that shows what their immediate plan of action is, and then even says, you know, 5 years down the line, if this is successful, I'll be able to also do this with it. Like, I'm going to start out doing this, but here are the other possibilities. So then that shows us, you know, a long-term opportunity and long-term strategic thinking. So I think that's a good thing. So those are some things to think about on how is this going to be long-term for you. What is your marketing plan? This is also very important In the past, we did not include a question about what is your marketing plan on our application. And we found that people were presenting all these wonderful ideas, and then we did not know how they were going to get the word out about it. So you can have an amazing idea, and we need to know how you're going to promote it and how people are going to find out about it. This does not mean that you have to include that you're going to do some crazy expensive TV and radio schedule or anything like that. It can be totally grassroots. It can be whatever's in your budget. It can be by talking to your existing customers, social media networks, whatever your regular email is. Maybe you have a website and this just requires you to add a new page or a new element to your website. But think creatively and how can you get the word out and how can that fit within your budget? Because don't forget, whatever you include in this answer needs to be a part of your overall budget. So let me see if there's anything else. How do you let existing customers know about the new opportunity, and how do you find new customers? Just membership and networking organizations. We've had people apply for new opportunities and then say, if I join this organization or association, it can help me get the word out about it. So that can be part of your budget. Okay, in the event of partial funding, will you be able to complete the opportunity? We just want to know if there's any way you can modify it if you don't get the budget you're looking for. If you have a plan B, some people do. They have a way to scale it down. Other people say, nope, I need the full funding in order to do this, and that's okay. We're just trying to get an idea of that. This is straightforward. Have you received funding from us in the past? Yes or no. If it's yes, you can just choose which grant round you received your funds. If it's no, please just type NA or did not get funded in this opportunity box because it's a required question. If you have been funded, just give us a little update on what's going on with what you were funded. Date opportunity begins. I just put this here because LCEF does not fund an opportunity that's already existing or something that's happened in the past. It's got to be new and fresh, and it needs to be ongoing, so hopefully it doesn't have an end date. If it's something that you need the grant funds to start immediately, great. You can put ASAP as soon as you receive the funds. If it's something like, well, I'm collecting money now and doing research and I'm going to start it in the spring, you can put like April 2014 or whatever it is. Again, these are more at the bottom here, more demographic questions that are things that are required by our funders. So I'm going to click Save and Proceed. That's going to bring us to the budget page. This is pretty straightforward, but I'm going to re-emphasize total budget of opportunity. We want to see what is it going to take to get you from start to finish to be able to execute whatever it is you're trying to do. Even though our maximum grant is only $2,500, it may take you a lot more money, a lot more things you need to get this done. So we want to see the whole budget. So let's say your budget's $10,000, you put that here. Now, whatever the number is in this field, the total budget of opportunity field, the total of this line item budget in the next question needs to match that. And yesterday I typed on here, this is not what your budget should look like because it's very generalized. Supplies, $2,000. Usually if we see things with large dollar amounts that are very generalized, it kind of puts up a red flag. Maybe you haven't done your homework, maybe you haven't researched it, maybe you're just saying, I'll spend $2,000 on supplies. We'd rather know, without getting down to the penny, which some people do. I've researched, and these ink cartridges I'm going to need for this printer are about $50 each. I'm going to need 10 of them, so $500 or $490, whatever it's going to be. Marketing items, if you've referenced things you need to spend money on, flyers, brochures, someone to build your website page, whatever it is, you can put those specific line items and add them up. But again, this line item budget should equal the total budget of opportunity. Then you put the amount requested from LCEF. If your total budget of opportunity is $2,500 or more, you should request the maximum amount. If your total budget of opportunity happens to be less, it's perfectly fine to request less than $2,500 and may give you a better shot of getting funded because it's less money, but not necessarily. Other funding sources. If your total budget of opportunity exceeds $2,500, you must answer this question, and you must let us know where you're going to get the rest of the funds. So the way I've answered it here is a perfectly acceptable way to do it. So I need $10,000. I've already received $5,000 from another grant I got. I've applied for a grant for $2,000. I'm going to put up $500, and hopefully I'll get the $2,500 from LCEF, and that's where I'm going to get the money. Just add it up to $10,000 and tell us where you're going to get the funds. Maybe it's a loan from your parents. Maybe it's money you have in savings. You know, whatever it is, however you're going to get it, let us know how you're going to complete the budget. Will funds be used for consultant services? If you're going to hire a consultant of any type, just go ahead and put who they are and what their qualifications are and maybe who some of their other clients are, just so that we know you're hiring a reputable consultant to work with you. Profit and loss statement. So this is the required upload for businesses. I'm going to show you how to do it real quick. And I have some other files here. It doesn't matter what the files are, because I'm not actually going to upload a profit and loss statement here. Acceptable file types are Word, PDF, Excel spreadsheet, or JPEG. So if you've got your budget, profit and loss in QuickBooks, for example, you can either download an Excel or a PDF and attach that. Just pull it and upload it. Very simple. If you're using something else, you can type it out in Word and Excel, whatever's easier for you. Are y'all experiencing degraded audio quality? Oh, you don't know because your sound is off. I just got a notice, so I hope you all can hear me. So you click, this is how you do it. Very easy. Click Upload File, click Choose File. Oh, there's pictures of me. So then you go on to your computer, wherever that file may be. I have like artist resume, but it would be your profit and loss statement. So then when you see artist resume or whatever, you know, my business P&L, you'll know it's there. Then click Upload File, and you'll see files already uploaded and the name of your file. So you can click Done. And then that uploaded file is going to appear here. That's how you know it's already uploaded. Same thing with the work samples. Click Upload File. You can have JPEG pictures. You can have Microsoft Word examples. If you have a video or audio file that you want us to look at, the uploads cannot handle that type of a file. So what I ask you to do is type a web link for me. If it's on your website, if it's on YouTube, or something like that, you can type the link in a Microsoft Word document and upload that. So that's the best way to share video and audio. Now you're going to click Save and Proceed. Incomplete application. I didn't fill something out in contact information. Title. That didn't happen yesterday. Title. EOF Director. Okay, so if there's anything that was required that you filled out and you left it blank, it's not going to let you submit it. So you'll have to go back and complete the answer to that question. When you're done, you get that final Save and Proceed on the last page. It's going to take you to a page that says Review Your Application. Here you have the opportunity, and I don't know how well you see while I'm scrolling, but you can scroll down and see every section: business information, demographic, about your opportunity, You'll be able to see the complete answers that you type in. You can do one last proof, the budget. Now at the bottom of this page, on the left it says submit, on the right it says save only. If you would like me to review a draft of your application, click save only, then send me an email with your login information, your email and password, and I can go log in and look at it. If I've looked at it, you've looked at it, somebody else proofed it, it's all ready to go, click submit, and then you will get a confirmation email saying thank you for submitting your grant application. If you do not get a confirmation email, it probably wasn't submitted properly and you should call me. But I'm going to click save only for now. And that's the Economic Opportunity Fund grant application. That's it. So I'm going to stop the recording now and do the question and answers for y'all. That's so